and you have found Prep Recruiting Insider. This is PRI. I'm the head coach of PRI, Rick Gailey, and we're hunkered down here in the WHNO TV 20 Man Cave, along with our Prep Recruiting Insider, the Renee Nato. And we're joined today by Coach Tim Rebowe of the Nicholls Colonels. Thank you once again, Tim, for being with us.
Hey, my pleasure. I really like the setup here. I love the man cave.
Got some lounge chairs in the back. But anyway, we talked about some of your players, Tim, but you really did a great job. Dan Quan Edwards from De La Salle has been on the show before, about 6'1", 280, 285. And David Mosley out of Rebowe, he was on the show, and he's got a good pair of mitts. But he told us, I like to block, you know. So you got those and a couple other kids that really can play, maybe have a role this year.
You know, Coach Lee Roussel, who coaches them offensive line, who covers, used to coach at Rebowe and coached around, and he does a great job of recruiting, identifying, and building these relationships. David Mosley is a big-time tight end. He's physical. He can stretch the field. One of those guys likes to block. You like to hear that. You know, he's not about a me, always getting the ball. So he's going to be really, really good for us. Dan Quan Edwards, strong ox in the middle, can come in and help us right away. And another guy who I like that we got is Cohen Grenier, quarterback from Destrehan. Cohen had some injuries this year and struggled a little bit, but he's just such a winner. He's a competitor, and he reminds me he's in the mold of the quarterback that we got right now.
Exactly right.
That's right. And just a reminder, in the next segment, we'll have those three and another on with their interviews from last week on National Signing Day. So we'll get to find out what they think of the Nicholls Colonels in their own words, so to speak. Well, Tim, you have spring practice right around the corner. Talk about when that starts and when that ends. And that's going to be really with only 12 people, but 3 of them are there, so only 9 people starting after the school year. That's going to be like an August practice more than what most teams have for a traditional spring practice.
Exactly right. Right now, to back up a step, everybody's into that off-season program. We usually set our spring dates around, you know, Mardi Gras and when our spring break is. So this year it's pushed back a little bit, so we have a little bit longer time in the weight room right now. We're going to get started on March the 17th. We'll go 4 days a week. Usually our practice days are Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And then we'll come up and have the spring game on April the 11th, doing something a little different with that. We'll have it as a weeknight game and try to get the students involved and keep them on campus before they head home for Easter break. We have, right now, we currently have 86 guys on our roster. Right. So, you know, counting non-scholarship players and scholarship players, and then so that's including the 3 that's already there. So we'll have a good competition. We'll have a lot of depth at some positions, and then those guys, those other 9 guys, will be ready to roll back in the summer.
You talked about the weight room. You know, a lot more goes into just players who wear jerseys and stuff like that. You are upgrading your facilities. Talk a little bit about, Tim, how the Colonels improving themselves away from the field?
Well, the weight room, we have Coach Greg Carasquillo, who I think is one of the best young strength coaches around. He's done a good job. He follows, you know, Coach, you know how guys come underneath certain lineage, certain trees and all that. He's under the Tommy Moffitt tree. So he worked with Tommy out at LSU, and he has a little pro background, pro experience. He does a great job with them. Right now in the off season, we're getting ready to upgrade. It's been a while since they've done some things to the facilities in Thibodaux, and very, very proud. We're going to get our new artificial turf. Our artificial surface is going to be started within the next week, trying to get it in before spring ball. Hopefully we'll have it for the spring game. So that's big. It's about 11 years old, so it's time for an upgrade there. And then we also have a new video board, a new state-of-the-art board coming that'll be in place for the season next year. So we're making improvements to the locker room and the facilities. You know that's important in today's day and age in the recruiting. Those kids like to see those improvements. So we're moving on the right track there also.
And historically, Nicholls has had a mix of head coaches, of some local and some from God knows where, from all over the place. But the most successful years that Nicholls has had has been coaches who knew the area. What is Tim Rebowe about as a head football coach, and what kind of players do you really look for?
Well, I think as a head coach, I bring in coaches and I let them coach. I let them be themselves. I don't try to change them and make them be this and make them be that. Of course, we have a philosophy on offense and a philosophy on defense, but we like to have the young coaches and take a little ownership and have a little say-so in some of the things that we're doing, and that's worked for us. We're very proud to say that as of right now, knock on wood, all the coaches are still staying in place where you don't have to keep going out and looking for stability in this program, means a whole lot. And as far as the players are, we want positive players in our program. I mean, that's the way we coach, and that's the players we talk about it a lot. Try to motivate them in a positive way and say, hey, everything's always not doom and gloom and negative stuff. So, and those guys seem to respond to that.
Tim, introduce your staff a little bit to the viewing audience who maybe don't recognize all of them, but a little bit about some of the guys who are on your staff.
I'll start off with the coordinators. Rob Christoffel is my offensive coordinator. He's going to be starting our 3rd season with us. We worked together back in the day with the Raging Cajuns, so I brought him back on board. My defensive coordinator is Tommy Rybecke, who's a really good young mind, not doing all kind of crazy different things, but sound, good football coach. And then to go back on the offensive side, Brock Hayes is coaching my running backs right here out of New Orleans. Lee Roussel is the offensive line coach. Sean Murphy coaches the wide receivers. And we got Russ Gisclair, who's a former player, coaches the tight ends. He's from down the bayou. On defense, Anthony Camp coaches our defensive line. He's a former player for Arkansas State and McNeese, and he does a great job recruiting in the Baton Rouge area. Brian Wallace coaches our outside linebackers. And another former player who I like to get in the program is Chris Thompson. Chris is from Holy Cross and played about 8 years in the league, and he's back coaching with us. He's out of New Orleans. So proud of those guys. They all sticking together, working hard, and do a great job for us.
You make excellent progress from year 1 to year 2, and now it looks like you're really primed to take the next step. What do you have to do as both a head coach and a football team for Nicholls to be able to take that next step?
Well, I need a couple guys to step up this offseason, and we got a couple key positions that we got to fill. And I need our young running backs to continue to make the progress that we've shown so far. A couple of those JC offensive linemen come in and compete. Had a couple guys who redshirted, who's ready to step up and go. And I think this, you can't always talk about what you're going to do and what you're going to do. Looking forward to next year, we got to get off to a good start early, and we got to be able to beat some teams that we haven't beat in the past. And it's not a secret, you got to beat the Sam Houstons and you got to beat the McNeeses and those guys if you want to be mentioned as one of those teams in the top. Last year, we were picked to finish 10th in the league, and we ended up finishing 4th with a 5-4 record. Still, as a head coach, it's my job to say, hey, it's not good enough. So now we got to go out and we got to make steps from there, progress, and get ourselves in position to win the league and get into the playoffs.
Fan base is unbelievable, Tim. When we have a broadcast, we get there 3 hours before game time, and I have to weave my way through the tailgaters and everything. The fan base is like none other.
Well, when I first took the job that the people in that community would really get behind and rally if they had something to do, and they've been starving for a little success and some of the things, and it's been an event. Now you got kids playing around there, talking about going to Nicholls and all the gear around town. Just all those little things are important, but I also think it helps having a bunch of local players and people people can come there and support them.
And what makes you think that what you've started is sustainable?
Well, I just think keeping the right guys in a position and being positive, winning a couple games, and we can change that culture and keep it rolling.
And that not only affects the record on the field, but as Renee mentioned, gets you more and more support. I don't know what comes first, the chicken or the egg, but you get more support when you win games, but you need support to win games.
Look, I tell a story real quick. We had one of the biggest crowds. We ran out the tunnel. We play in Stephen F. Austin, and come on, I don't look all the time, and I glanced up and I said, man, we did it. We got them here. Well, they go down the field, they score, and it's 7-0. First play, Chase throws an interception. They score, it's 14-0. Next play, we kicked off, we fumbled, and I said to myself, boy, you really screwed this one up. But, we came back and won the game in double overtime, so things worked out.
There you go. That's Coach Tim Rebowe of the Nicholls Colonels. What a great job that he's doing there and will continue to do. Looking forward to the 2017 season. When we come back after this timeout, we get to talk to some of his brand new signees from signing date last week. You're going to be very impressed, just as we were. We'll be back after this timeout. This is PRI.